What's up, y'all? It is Tasha. We are back with another review of Love is Blind. This time it is episodes 8 and 9. Let's just talk about it, y'all. It's hard to kind of review this show just a bit because it's all over the place. It moves really, really fast, and maybe because I am used to Married at First Sight, where we literally get like 3 episodes of a honeymoon, and it's like you watch 2 episodes of Love is Blind and you've gone from the wedding is 2 weeks away to the wedding is here. So it moves really, really quickly in a matter of 2 episodes. But let's get in and talk about what happened in episodes 8 and 9. So again, I'm gonna go through couple by couple, and then any together scenes that they have had, I will talk about all at the end. So I'm going to first start with Shane and Natalie, since that's where we left off at the last episode, in episode 7, with him meeting her parents for the very first time. So they kind of talk about that they do have different communication styles, that Shane really kind of likes to talk about things and really communicate and get them out in the open. Natalie, on the other hand, she likes to kind of hold things in and bottle them up, and then kind of once it gets to be too much pressure, she kind of just blows up a little bit. Her mom is completely, still hesitant about this whole situation. Oddly enough, Shane comes in. She is really pleasant with him. She gets a chance to talk with him by herself. And when the mom talks to Shane by herself, she says she feels more comfortable with him from the energy that she's getting from him. Natalie talks to her dad individually, and she's like, what do you think? And her dad says, he seems like a very genuine and caring person. And I'm just like, what is Shane doing to these people? Does he have some type of voodoo doll, some type of tranquilizer, one of them little Men in Black, little guns that messes with your memory? Like, what is he doing to these people to make these people like him so much? Because I didn't even like him from the pods. So I don't really understand how he's winning people over so easily. But okay. Natalie then meets Shane's mom, and she asks, what made her pick, her son. She says they really connected on an emotional level, and she really knew from him how much his mom meant to him, how much family meant to him, and that's really what she felt like that was really important to her as well. He asked his mom, do you approve? And her mom was like, of course I do. I'm like, your mama is not going to tell this girl in front of her face, no, I don't approve and I don't want you to marry her. Like, Shane, stop it. And then as he's about to get it from the table, he's like, oh, I'm about to go do number 2 now. And he just gets up, and they just all are looking at him. Natalie is like, are you serious? And I'm like, do you expect anything else from this man-child that you will have to raise in addition to whatever kids you decide to bear with him if you go through this? This is not surprising for any of us that he acts like a 12-year-old little boy. I mean, anyway, throughout the 2 episodes, we also see Natalie and Shane go on their final date before the wedding. And of course, she has planned the date because she needs to constantly reaffirm him how much she really loves and cares for him. If that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, Natalie, go for it. But as soon as he gets there, he's like, wow, well, how many times can I expect this? Like, once a year, once a month, once a week, like, how often am I going to get treated like the king that I think I am? And I'm just like, you shouldn't even be treated to this one, sir. But for some reason, Natalie is just head over heels for you. And I'm going to let her keep living her best life in her head. But she is pouring her heart out to him. And she is just like, you're a part of me. You are my best friend. Like, I'm so happy I found you. And he's just eating it all up and loving it. He gives her, a few words of affirmation back to herself, but in my opinion, both of their heads are still way up in the clouds. She definitely is more into him than he is to her. You can tell just by the way their conversation is, how she talks, the body language. Like, for him, it's mostly physical versus the emotional connection, but he says that, but we don't see that. It's like, he says one thing, but his action says something different. But he expects us to, I guess, go off of his words. When I'm like, the 2 don't match. And when the 2 don't match, I'm always going to believe the actions that are being shown to me rather than the words. Because everybody can talk a whole lot of words. If it ain't a whole lot of action behind it, you can miss me with all that. Okay? We will move on to Mallory and Salvador. So Sal tells us he lets us know that they had an argument. Mallory decided to sleep in the other room of the apartment. And then Sal tells us that the person that he was seeing before they started this whole thing showed up to his sister's apartment, and she was just really hurting and crying. And then she kind of just started going off and saying any and everything to him. His sisters were completely shocked. So apparently Mal got upset because of how that whole situation went down. So they actually start have a conversation with one another, and she's like, if you don't want to be here, I want you to be here, but if it's not where you want to be, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and tells her, well, she was someone, that I was dating. Apparently they were not exclusive. He gives us a little bit of an insight of how this show may work. He said, I knew since last year or a year ago, he said he wanted to do this. But of course, when you're going through the process, they tell you not to stop living your life. So of course, he was still continuing to, go on dates and things like that with people, but he was not in a relationship. And I guess I'm confused because I understand like maybe Mallory feeling some kind of way, but how are you upset with him? She says that, what did she say? She says that someone would not get that upset without maybe some promises being made. So I guess she thought that Sal was telling this girl that they were going to be together. And then when he went to the pods and found somebody, and I guess she found out or whatever, realizing that wasn't going to happen. So the girl spazzed out. But again, I don't really care for Sal that much, but Sal can't control the emotions of this girl. Like, I don't understand how you're kind of making it out to be his fault that the girl reacted this way and kind of showed up at his sister's house. So she's like, well, you introduce everybody to your sisters. Like, girl, you've only known this man for a few weeks. You don't know if they were dating for some months. And maybe once you get a certain age, really, meeting your siblings is not that big of a deal. I can understand meeting parents, but meeting your siblings, y'all could just be going out and grabbing drinks or whatever. And it's pretty casual. But she was like, we can kind of start over and start fresh. But, if there are any more surprises or anything happens, that's going to be it. And I'm like, Mallory, it really sounded like you just looking for a way out. I know you say you like this man and everything, but to me, that was pretty minor because it wasn't him being involved in the mess of this girl coming over and being all emotional with it. So it's like, you might not really want to marry him. That's what it's feeling like to me. That's what I think, but maybe I could be wrong. Okay. We didn't see Sal cook for Mallory since they've had a rough couple days, which was super sweet. But again, something is just telling me that she don't really like him like that. I think she likes the connection that their culture brings to them. I think she likes the way he makes her feel, but I don't really think she likes him. But he's doing any and everything to, kind of sweep her off her feet. So he cooks for her. And then later on, we see them go on this little picnic where he's actually playing a ukulele and he's singing to her. Like, he is definitely trying to pull out all the stops. And most of this seems sweet, but this would start to get on my nerves as well. Because it's just constantly like he's trying to be in your face. Look at me. Look what I can do. I'm the best for you. Here I am. Don't you love me? Look at what I can do for you. And it's just like, just let me come around. And also, I'm sure these are things you're not going to upkeep. You're not going to want to cook for her on a weekly basis for the rest of your life. You're not going to be able to play this dang on ukulele and sing and dance or do whatever you want to do every week. And it's like you kind of setting the bar up here. And like I said, because I feel like that's what she likes as far as him making her feel good, that's going to die off pretty quickly when he stops doing those things or lessens how frequently he is doing those things. But okay, let's move on to Iyanna and Jarrette. So Jarrette meets with Iyanna's parents who actually adopted her when she was 22. And they look super young themselves. I was like, girl, they could probably be like your sister and your brother. I love to see it, okay? When they asked, kind of what drew him to her, he says it was really her resilience when they were in the pods. Her mom is definitely coming with all the questions because she's like, I know her, but you don't really know her. So I'm a little concerned and I didn't know how you're going to treat my baby, essentially. They say that they've had, conflict, but no arguments. And really the only conflict has been the sense of him wanting to go out, her want to stay home. Jarrette says a year from now, he can see them happy with a blended family between, her family and his family. And things went well. I don't think it went as well as when they met with Jarrette's parents, but, we'll see what happens with the two of them. Jarrette says, that he is comfortable with her based on what he has seen from her and, their interactions that they have with the pods, because it seems like Iyanna keeps asking him maybe every few days, where he's at on a scale of 1 to 10. And one day he was at 9 out of 10. The next day he was at 8 out of 10. So, of course, she's like, well, what happened? How did I lose a point? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, girl, you need to calm down. She says, she talks about, kind of needing to see the actions about him going out. And he made the comment of, well, it was 3 days last week. So, again, I don't know if 3 days is better because maybe it was every day previously and now 3 days is an improvement. They talk about, how long he should stay out. And she says, I should think he should be home before 3 a.m. And when she said that, I was like, so is you telling me Jarrette's coming home after 3 a.m.? And then Jarrette was like, well, 3 a.m. is kind of late. So I was like, where did that come from? Because if he was staying out past that time, I am definitely side-eyed him. Okay, like, you got a wife at home. You do not need to be out till 3 o'clock in the morning on no night. All right. She ends up saying that she is afraid, of them about them not meeting each other's needs. And she just needs him to show her that he actually prioritizes her. And that she's just really afraid and she just needs a lot of reassurance. And he just keeps saying, trust me, I got you. And I'm like, Jarrette, that sounds good. But she still don't really know you. So she can't just trust you. You got to show her something right now. So whether that is you maybe not going out so much for a little bit and that showing her, or, planning special dates with her as showing her, since we kind of know she's a bit of an introvert. Like, it's going to have to be something on that scale for her to really feel like, you all in. I feel like Salvador has gone all the way from 0 to 100, and Jarrette over here, like, we're gonna go from 0 to 20 and then we'll see where we gonna go from there. But they end up going on a cute little date. He says he's trying, and I'm like, if he put together the date, he is trying. He says he's willing to work on it every day. So literally this is something that only time will tell. You can't necessarily rush him prioritizing you and making changes when it comes to, going out and things, because that really is going to have to be a day by day, week by week, month by month process of seeing if it does lessen or he includes you more. So I think if she's still feeling that fearful about it, then girl, you don't need to do it. Because that only comes with time. And right now y'all short on time. So don't do it. So next we are going to move on to Danielle and Nick. Y'all, these two are just completely exhausting. More so her. She is completely exhausting and I'm not even her man. Okay. They go cake tasting and immediately I start salivating because I want cake. Now that I've seen cake, I want cake too. And it looks so good. But of course, they can't have a scene where they don't have some sort of disagreement, because she brings up stuff on the slide, like just kind of, she slides it in. And then when he starts to question her about it, that's when she starts going in. And before you know it, they just be in a full blown argument almost every other scene. But it seems that she went out with her friends for a weekend and he had concerns about her going out because it seems like that's what she likes. So the versions that we're getting is, it seems like she was like, I've had these plans for weeks and weeks and weeks. I did not know, of course, I was going to meet him, obviously. And he just, thinks I'm just going to be out every weekend. And he's like, well, no, I kind of didn't think you were going to be out. I just asked you if this is how it's going to be, where we're kind of just hanging out separately in the weekends, which I get, because that can kind of help him make his decision of if he wants to get married with you. Because again, y'all have a bit of an age difference. So you just are at different places in your life where he don't really want to, hang out with his friends every weekend or every other weekend. He just want to Netflix and chill at home with his wife. So she says that, he got upset, and unfortunately, I'm leaning more towards, Nick's side of things, just because Danielle just tends to blow up and has serious emotions and feelings and anxiety about every single thing. So I feel like I just can't trust that the situation or whatever was that big of a deal, because she makes everything to be such a big deal, even when it is minor. Whatever, we'll see what happens. They didn't go wine tasting, and again, it is like a carousel with them, because you'll see them in on an argument, and then the next time you see them again, they're all lovey-dovey. They have an argument in that same scene, and then we just rinse and repeat with them over and over again. So they basically, get together, start apologizing, acting like everything is okay. Nick tells her that the situation in Mexico kind of scared him about her, having that anxiety attack. And he said he wouldn't be able to deal with that for the rest of his life. And of course, that scares her. And I'm like, well, would you rather not know this man's truth? And I mean, let's be real. If you're not used to being around somebody that is anxious or has really high anxiety, you really would question if you could put up with that for the rest of your life, because that is a lot to put up with, to bear somebody who is so emotional and anxious to that extent all the time. Like, that can be very exhausting. I know it ain't something I would ever sign up for. So she says she's more terrified of being rejected because now, she said that. And I just believe, again, she has not done enough work on herself. She has not done enough work to feel okay and secure. Like, every time this man has any doubt or isn't sure, like, it almost crumbles her world. And I'm like, I understand having feelings for someone, but girl, you have to be secure enough in yourself to know that, yes, I want to be with someone in a relationship, but I'm also okay with being by myself in this season, in this place, until the right person comes along for me, and not just having somebody just because I want to feel good and I want somebody here to reassure me and comfort me. Like, Danielle, girl, you getting on my nerves. You cry in almost every scene. Like, I am completely over her. Do you hear me? They spend their last night together. And of course, it's back to, everything is okay. We love each other. This girl is just so insecure about her looks. Like, they're spending their last kind of date together in a pool. And I understand you're in camera and you want to look good, but you're in a freaking pool and she still has makeup on her face. And of course, is definitely staying above the neck. Like, I don't even want no water to splash on my face right now. And it's like, at some point, your husband is going to see you, barefaced and all, and he's gonna have to be okay with it if he really loves you. So I know this is towards the end of the very last episode 9, but since I'm on we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. But we actually end up seeing the beginning of their wedding day. So this is the only wedding that we start to see on episode 9. And he says, she's the best person I've ever met. He loves her more than he's loved anyone, but they've had some issues over the past several weeks. So he's still having some true concerns. She tells us that they discussed the morning of what they should do, and they are not on the same page. So it sounds like she wants to say yes and he wants to say no. And I guess they wanted to go into this agreeing on what they would say, so that I guess no one will be at the altar shocked and surprised, and they could kind of just move on or be together and everything just be a little more amicable. She says that he told her that she wasn't ready to be a wife. And I think when he told her that, or if a man would have told me that, that would have been everything I needed to know. If you said that, then obviously you don't want me to be your wife. Point blank in the period. Even if I felt like I was ready to be a wife, if you tell me that, that means you're not ready for me to be your wife. So I wouldn't even bother with the makeup and the dress of it all. I just would have walked down there in little sweatpants and t-shirt or something. Was like, what we gonna do? Because I'm not gonna go through all this. And then we get down here and it's a no. Okay. But I don't think he doesn't like her. I just think it's a lot right now because it's moved so fast. He hasn't been able to really adjust to everything that everything that she is and all that comes along with her. So I think if they've had more time to date, then he can better adjust to her emotions, her anxiety, her kind of mood swings that she goes on. I think he can better adjust to that, and then he can have, of course, some tools in his bag to know when she gets like this, if I want to be with her, when she gets in this space, then I need to do this to assist her. When she gets here, I need to do this to assist her. But because it's been so much, so fast with her emotions being all over the place, he's just isn't sure if he feels confident that he can confidently say yes and deal with this for the rest of his life, because he really hasn't seen the good. Like, they have a few split seconds of good, and then it's an argument, and her bringing up all these questions and her feeling insecure, and it is a whole lot for me. But anyway, she ends up looking very beautiful in her dress, which I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, that this dress was different from the dress that she actually said yes to when they all went shopping for their dresses, but maybe not. Her mom is like, oh my gosh, you just look so beautiful. I mean, like, how can he say no? Like, he just can't say no. If he does say no, we'll all beat his ass. And I'm like, well, get ready for the beating, because I don't think this man is going to say yes. And just because someone is beautiful in the moment does not mean it completely erases everything else you've seen over these past several weeks. And you're just going to say yes because she looks so beautiful today on the wedding day. Okay. Oh, gosh. And then they show, him coming down the aisle. He is sweating bricks. Do you hear me? Bricks. It looked like it's a little toasty outside, but I think most of the sweat is coming from his nerves. He just don't know what to do. So they show him coming down. They pan over to, her mama and his mama. And in this moment, for a split second, I want to see what an all-out brawl would be between Danielle's mama and Nick's mama, because Nick's mama looked like she will drag a bee. Do you hear me? I would love to see, but yet when Danielle's mama got a little wine in her, I feel like she can be a little fiery. I would just look, that would make some good TV right there, just to watch the two of them go at it. So he's sweating. They say, some things back to each other about how they feel. The officiant kind of goes on about his spiel for them to say, I do. And she's like, I'm kind of, indecisive about a lot of things. But, one thing I've been sure about is you. And I've been sure about you since day one. So, yes, I do. And the minute she says that, the look on Nick's face is like, I'm going to say no, and she is going to be crushed. Oh, shit. Like, that is the look that is on his face of, how am I going to do this? Because I'm not going to say the same thing she has just said. I hate to see it. I can't wait for the finale so we can actually see what he says. But I feel like he's going to say no. And if he doesn't say no, I don't see them lasting. So I would really rather him say no and let her be able to deal with this hurt now, than they go ahead and get married and then she gets the hurt later when they actually have to formally go through a divorce. Like, that's too much. We could just say no at the altar. So next we will move on to Shake and Deepti. He tells her that she's the most incredible girl he's ever met. If he could spend his life with anyone else, it would be her. And I'm like, Shake, I feel like every time you come on my TV, and depending on who you're talking to, the narrative about how you feel about Deepti changes. Like, one minute you love Deeps and you just can spend the rest of your life with her. The next minute you just like, I'm not attracted to Deeps and I don't know what to do. Like, Shake, I need you to get it together, okay? He says that it is not the physical connection that is not there for him, because he's actually having a conversation with Shane at this moment. And he says that it just feels like she's like a member of his family, like she is his aunt. And I'm like, well, I mean, she's Indian, so I'm sure she maybe she does favor an aunt of yours because y'all are both Indian. So sometimes you share those different attributes and physical features. So I can see that. But also it's because you're used to white girls with blonde hair as to why she just feels so unfamiliar to you. Like, let's be real. He says they haven't had sex, but he even says that even though they haven't had a physical connection, if that even doesn't grow any further than it is, their emotional connection that they have had almost overshadows them not having the physical connection. And I'm just like, okay, like, it's just so hard for me to wrap my brain around how much you love somebody and you just love everything about them, but physically they kind of disgust you. Like, I don't get it. If y'all understand, help me, please. They talk, and he actually ends up kind of telling her that I'm just like that physical animalistic attraction that I really want is just not there. She says, well, we'll figure it out. But she honestly looks a bit disappointed as they're on this date and kind of having this conversation, because Shake can't really pinpoint what the problem is. Like, is it just me and who I am? Is it just the way I look? Is it my eyes, my nose, my teeth, my face? Like, what is it? And I think that's what she struggles with, because it's like, well, I don't know. Not that she would necessarily fix herself, because she is who she is. But I think it's easier to try to be like, oh, I don't like your nose. And it's like, well, okay, I ain't changing my nose, so there's that. Or if it's, I don't like the way you handle conflict. Okay, maybe that's something that we can discuss and go to counseling, and then we can, change that moving forward. It's just like, give the girl a little bit something to go off of. They actually have a little date night that Shake planned for them, and they have massages and some wine as their final night together before the wedding. And then Shake says that, I feel like we need to have sex to confirm that, I can marry her, because, how else would I know unless we have sex? So I guess having sex with her would make her not feel like your auntie no more, and then make her feel like okay to be married, Shake? Okay. He admits that he found himself pushing her away the last few weeks, and he starts to get a little bit emotional as he's speaking with her. He says he hasn't appreciated her in the past, and really it has had the opposite effect on him. It's made him really love her even more. And at this point, again, Shake is fighting with himself. Like, he's in a battle with himself, because I think he likes her, but because she is just not typically what he would go for, he's fighting himself to not like her. But his body is like, nah, dude, we like her. Like, you either gonna have to give in and just be all in, or you just gonna have to find somebody else, Shake, because Deepti is who she is, and she shouldn't have to change for nobody, and she should have somebody that is 100% all in for her, okay? So we will go into the ladies going together wedding dress shopping with Vanessa Lachey, and they get a whole little bridal shower situation because they have little cupcakes and wine, and then they also bring their friends and family with them. Of course, on the other side of town, the guys are meeting with Nick Lachey, and they have their friends because the weddings are now a week away as they're shopping. When they came to the bridal salon, Iyanna brought Jarrette's sister with her, and I was like, I wonder why her mom or none of her friends could come, because she didn't explain. But I mean, I guess it was cute to see that she, thought enough about Jarrette's sister and what she would think and what her brother may like, that she brought, his sister along for the ride. Natalie also brought Shane's mom. And I was just like, okay, girl. But actually, Natalie and Shane's mom had a chance to talk, and they really had good conversation. And it seems like, they seem to be on the same page about kind of what family and how they would like to move forward and things like that. And they seem to connect pretty quickly and easily. So, she says that brought her a little bit more reassurance and comfort. So we will see what happens, child. On the other side of town in the tuck shop, Jarrette's friends look like they straight out of a Migos video or something. Like, they came TV ready. Do you hear me? Shake then talks to his friends about how great Deepti is, and how, proposing to her was the easiest part. Deeps is in the wedding shop, and she's trying to find traditional Indian garb to be her dress instead of a traditional wedding gown. And oh my goodness, everything that she tried on was completely gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I just loved it so much. The ladies then take turns trying on dresses for everybody. Mallory seems a little bit hurt that her mom and her sister weren't there, because only her friends were there. And again, there was no explanation. We haven't seen her mom yet. When they met in one of the last episodes, it was her sister, and she seemed to really value her sister's opinion. So I just was a little confused as to why they wouldn't be here for, her big day. But they all pick out beautiful gowns, of course. I didn't really care for Danielle's, but like I said, I feel like what she wore on the wedding day was different than what I saw her pick out at the bridal shop. I think I messed up earlier, because this is when Shane and Shake actually hang out, and Shake says, it's not about her physical appearance and things like that. Shane then actually gives pretty good advice. Like, I don't like him, but, Shane is like, I'm going to need you to just think outside the box. I'm going to need you to just Do something different, because what you've done before has not worked for you, has it? So just be okay with trying something different and seeing if it actually works. And then the minute Shane kind of gets me on his side, he starts being Shane once again. And he's like, bro, if I only had a week left, I'll be banging her every night. Of course you would, Shane. Of course you would. But Shake, I'm going to need you to make your mind up either way. For the bachelor party, all the guys meet up and all the girls, of course, meet up for their bachelorette party. The guys go to Wrigley Field. And I guess just to hang out from the beginning, because I was like, I don't see no baseball game happening. So I guess we just hanging out at Wrigley Field. But all the grooms come out of the dugout, as their name will call, and get to high five their friends going down. Typical dude stuff. And then they get to hit a few balls around on the field, which was, I'm sure, super cute, since that's, such a landmark in Chicago. Shane gets embarrassed because it's his turn and he doesn't hit not one ball. So he gets so frustrated. He starts cursing and everything. He starts calling out Salvador, who has on little dress shoes and tight pants. He can hit the ball, but Shane couldn't hit it. And I'm like, again, here comes the 13-year-old adolescent oozing out of Shane because he couldn't hit the baseball. He then says, all I care about is Natalie and I just love her and I just can't wait to get married. So to change the tune, I guess, or to make him feel better, he switched over to how much he loved Natalie. Okay. Nick then tells his friends as he's talking with them that he's having a little bit of doubt and he's just unsure. And I don't blame him again, because there's just been a roller coaster of emotion going on with the two of them. His friend does ask, so if she was standing here right now at the end of the aisle, what would you say? And Nick says, I don't know. And again, in my mind, that is a no. Anything other than a sound and resounding yes is a no, in my opinion. That's all I'm going to say. Jarrette then tells his friends, that Iyanna is the perfect balance he needs, because he tells them about, how, Mallory was more of him, a female version of him, and they would connect on certain things, but Iyanna is the opposite, but he feels that is what he needs in his life. So I guess they'll be happily ever after. At the bachelorette party, they're like on this tiki type little boat ride. Natalie tells her friends, there's no doubt she is saying yes on the wedding day. We see Deepti talks about the doubt that Shake and she feels like she is really giving him all the control, and she really wants somebody that wants, 100% of her and has no doubt. And I do feel like she's leaving most of the decision making in his hands, because I feel like she is all in, but it's going to be dependent on what he says. Very similar to the whole Nick and Danielle of Danielle is 100% bought in, while Nick on the other hand is like, I ain't too sure if I can deal with this for the rest of my life. Okay. Mallory then tells us that, Sal is her soulmate and I just love him so much. Like, he really is my best friend. And I continue to feel like she's trying to convince herself more than she's trying to convince us. But okay, girl. Danielle says her biggest fear in this moment is losing him. And again, I hate that she has just wrapped herself so much into this man, and the confirmation that I feel like she gets from a man than having that confirmation for herself. And it's just like, girl, this man saying no should not crush your entire world. I know it may hurt and sting for a little bit, but that should not just make your world crumble. And I feel like it will when he says no next week. We did see Iyanna talk with Deep about, her feelings for Jarrette and still feeling like she was second choice. And I feel like Iyanna just continues to bring this up over and over again. And at some point you have to let it go, or again, don't continue to be with this man. I feel like Jarrette has shown her since then that it has been all about her, and he's never brought Mallory up, talking between the two of them. She has always been the one that has brought Mallory up. So I really want her just to kind of get over that. Like, he chose you, you're with him. If you felt so strongly that you were second best, again, as some of these other women, you should have just said no when he asked you to marry him. I'm sorry, but that's all I got for you, is that if you feel so strongly about how this man is making you feel, then you just should have said no. And then you wouldn't have to sit here and wonder if you're playing second fiddle to Mallory. Like, he chose you. I feel like he's showing you that he chose you. he's being here for you because he chose you, but you're still constantly second guessing whether, I guess, he still wants to be with Mallory. Like, Iyanna, girl, grow up just a little bit, or leave this man alone if you can't move past it, y'all. Oh gosh, I think that was it for these 2 episodes. I actually cannot wait for the finale so we can actually finally see who says yes and who says no at the altar. Leave your final prediction in the comments below, and hopefully there's some type of reunion after the fact as well, because I want to know if whoever does say yes, if anybody does say yes, if they are still together in present day. So let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch y'all sometime next weekend with the finale review. Peace.